Welcome to Chapter 10, Section 2, Circles and Circumferences. Before we begin, though, I would like to take a moment and talk about the fact that what we talked about last section was perimeter. And the fact that a square, the formula for perimeter, 4 times a side. So you just square with side, all the same side, it's 4 times this. For a rectangle, two times the length plus 2 times the width. Here's the length, width, width. These are two formulas that you have to memorize, and you'll have to use for quite a while. Now, today, we're dealing with radius and diameter. The diameter d of a circle is twice its radius. The radius r of a circle is half of its diameter. Let's take a quick look at what a circle looks like. Here is a circle. This really doesn't tell you what it is, though. A radius goes from the center to the outside. That is one radius. So you can imagine radius is half of a diameter. Then that means the diameter would be if this line continued. So diameter is all the way across through the center, and radius is from the center to any of the edges. This distance here is r. This distance here is r. Anything from the center to the sideline is radius. So here are some definitions. Right. So here are the definitions. This is how to fill this in. A circle is a set of all points in a plane that are the same distance from a point called the center. Now, this is why. Here's the center. And if we go one radius out, there is a point. One radius out, here is a point. A radius out, here is a point. A radius out, here is a point. A radius out, here is a point. Radius. And pretty soon what you'll end up with, you should start seeing that if you kept making these points forever and forever and forever, you'd end up with a line that is the same distance or equal distance from that center. So pretty soon you start filling in all these spaces with more and more points, and you end up with a circle. That's what it means. A circle is a set of all points in a plane that are the same distance from the center. Now, a chord, so that's for the first two, circle and center. A chord is if you have a circle. A chord is any point line segment where both endpoints are on the circle. So a chord could go from here to there. It could go from here to there. Anytime where there is a line that goes endpoint to endpoint, it is a chord. Now, if you had a center point and you had a radius going one way and a radius going the other way, this is still a chord. It went from an endpoint or from on the circle to on the circle somewhere else. That is a chord. Now I drew the green one because a diameter is the distance across the circle through its center. You could also say that the diameter is a chord going through the center. because it still has both endpoints on the circle. Now the radius, though, the radius, we drew a bunch of radii a little bit ago. Here's a circle. Here's the pretty close to center. And a radius is the distance from the center to any point on the circle. And it's going to be the same no matter what direction you go. There's no place that the radius will be different. And the circumference is basically just the perimeter around a circle. And there's some formulas we're going to go over here shortly. All right. So the distance of a circle, or diameter of a circle, is 48 centimeters. Find the radius. So before we do this, I'm going to go ahead and do some more formulas. The first one is going to be that the diameter is equal to 2 times the radius. That's the definition. It's twice the radius. The radius, then the inverse of that, would be the diameter divided by 2. So if you know the diameter, you divide by 2 and you get it. These ones we haven't come up with yet, but their circumference is equal to pi times the diameter. Now please note, pi is approximately 3.14. So another version of circumference formula is 2 times pi times the radius. Because remember, diameter is twice the radius. So here's diameter, and there's 2 times r. So let's continue. The diameter of a circle, okay, let's write the formula. Radius d over 2. So we replace the d with the diameter with 48 divided by 2. 48 divided by 2 is 24. So the radius is 24 centimeters. The radius of a circle is 22 centimeters. So, like the step before, write the formula. Diameter is equal to 2 times r. I chose this one because it said find diameter. Diameter is equal to 2 times 22, which is 44 centimeters. All right. That's how you can convert from diameter to radius pretty quickly. All right, so circumference. The circumference of a circle is equal to pi times twice its radius. So that means 2 pi r. Pi times twice its radius. So circumference of a circle, 2 pi r. I also told you that pi is approximately 3.14. So replace pi with 3.14 and d with 6. Okay. So I got a little bit ahead of myself. Find the circumference. Now, circumference is either 2 pi r or pi d. So, what are we given? 6 meters is from all the way from one end of the circle to the other end of the circle going through the center. By definition, that is the diameter. So we're going to use pi d. We'll replace pi with 3.14, multiply it by 6, and you end up with approximately 18.84 meters. Now, here is something I also didn't read. This is the pretty much exact answer. Um, when it says to estimate, right, if you wanted to make this problem easier, easier, you could say that pi, which is approximately 3.14, is also about 3. So when you put pi d in there, you could have said 3 times 6, which gave us 18 meters. Which, when you look at it, 18 meters here, 18.84 here, that is pretty darn close. So let's estimate the circumference of this circle. Let's do it the fast way where we don't have to actually do a lot of multiplying. It says to estimate, so that means replace pi with approximately 3. All right, now the formulas for circumference are either pi d or 2 pi r, depending on what information is given to you. So here you're given the distance from the center to the end of the circle. That is r. So we're using the circumference formula of 2 pi r. Putting a 2, replace pi with 3, and the radius is 15 millimeters. So let's see here, 3 times 15, 2 times 4, 90 millimeters is our circumference. All right, estimate the circumference of each circle. So now we're estimating still. If we're given diameter, circumference equals pi d. If we're given radius, circumference equals 2 pi r. So, working this out, estimate pi to be 3 times 4, or 12 yards. So the circumference of a circle with diameter 4 is 12. The circumference of a circle with radius 12 is 2 times 3 times 12. That's 6 times 12. 72 inches is the circumference. All right, now you can use a calculator to find the circumference. Use a calculator to find the circumference of the circle. You're still using the same formula. Radius, 2 pi r. So that's 2 times r, which is 3. And here, if you have a calculator, there should be a button on it that has pi. But if you use 3.14, you'll get a very good estimation. 2 times 3 is 6 times 3.14. And we would get 18.84. Here's a circle. Tells us that the diameter through the middle is 24. Round the nearest tenth. So, if we're given diameter, the circumference is pi d. Pi, we're going to make 3.14. Diameter is 24. And now I just multiply. 3.14 times 24. 16. 6, 13. And so my to the nearest tenth. So 75.36 is pretty close, but we're rounding to the nearest tenth, tens, ones, tenths. We look at the 6, and we have to decide, do we round up or down? Hopefully, since you know 6 is greater than 5, we round all that up. So my final answer, 75.4 centimeters is the circumference. All right. So, and Anna knows the diameter of a basketball hoop, but would like to find the circumference. Which method can she use to find the circumference of the basketball hoop? Well, we have to think. Circumference is equal to, what do we know? Diameter. So pi d. So here's the formula. All right. So to fill in the blanks here, we know the diameter. And we use the formula pi d. States the circumference is of a circle is equal to pi times the diameter. So my answer should be, let's see, pi times the diameter. So divide the diameter by pi, definitely not. Multiply rate, we aren't dealing with radius. Multiply the diameter by 2, then multiply by pi. Well, I don't see any multiplying by 2, so you're going to multiply by the diameter. The answer is D. All right, so take a look at this. Well, a standard baseball has a circumference of 9 inches. So now we have C is equivalent to 9 inches. Which method can be used to find the radius of a baseball? So we're looking for the radius. Well, circumference equals 2 pi r as the radius. So this one might be a little tougher, but the way this is set up is when you're given the radius, you're multiplying by pi and 2. You multiply by 2, you multiply by pi. Well, in this situation, we're given c, so now the inverse, the opposite should be true. So instead of multiplying by 2, we should given c, we should then divide by 2 and divide by pi, because it's the opposite of what we need to do. So divide the circumference by pi, then divide by 2. So my answer should be G. Alrighty. So for this section, you need to do the CYUs 1 through 10, all on page 531.